Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. God bless you, God bless you. God bless you, and happy Saturday night. I hope you are having a great weekend. It is Saturday night, December 6th. It's about 7:10 p.m. So I wanted to jump on because I was thinking about something. And so one of the things that you can do also is you can like or love this video, and you can send it out and share it. You can tag somebody, let somebody know that I jumped on live, because this is going to explain some things prophetically from biblical end time prophecy. So, again, hope you're doing well. And this is just a really kind of just impromptu jump on, and just want to cover a couple things. So, let's say you are a real born-again Christian who is not part of those that have followed me. You're not a part of the falling away, the fallen, the apostate church. Let's say you are not MAGA, you are not part of that false Christianity. And let's say you're not sure who Donald Trump is. You've heard me say that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, the last days Antichrist, the final Antichrist. You've heard me say that. And let's say you're like, I don't know. I know he's not a Christian. I know that he's not sent from God. I know that he's not a man of God. And let's say you're just unsure of who he is and what he is. And let's say you lean more toward he's just an evil man and perpetuating Christianity. And let's say you're more there. Let's say you're able to see that he's definitely somebody that's deceiving people, and somebody that is a trickster and a liar, and somebody that is walks in wickedness and pride. So let's say you are there, but you are not to the point where you say, oh, he is indeed the Antichrist. I want you to consider a couple things. I want you to think about something. How does this end? How does this end? Okay, what am I talking about? Well, Donald Trump right now is the president. Let's say Donald Trump is not the Antichrist. Let's say he is not the last days biblical Antichrist. Let's say that's not even, let's say. How does it end? How does it end? I want you to consider something. Because if he's not, then what happens is he's the president of the United States. Is he going to leave office? At some point, is he going to leave office? See, your hope is that one day he'll leave office. Again, we're creating this idea and concept, and we're saying, that hypothetically, and you already know where I stand with this. But we're saying, for this video's sake, hypothetically, what if Donald Trump is not the Antichrist? Well, then you have to then look forward to and put your hope that Donald Trump at one point leaves the White House and he's no longer president. But does it end with that? Does it end with that? See, the problem is not Donald Trump. The problem is the people who put Donald Trump in power. The problem is the people who worship and serve Donald Trump. The problem is the people who place righteousness on Donald Trump. That's the problem. The problem, Donald Trump could not just walk into the White House. Donald Trump was placed there. He was put there. He was voted in. People said this is the best choice that America has for its leader. So your issue is not even Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Your issue is far greater. Your issue is that there are people who have the same heart and mind as Donald Trump. And they are okay with it. See, that's your problem, is that there are people who have the same heart and mind who profess to be Christians. That's your issue. Your issue is not Donald Trump. Because you take away Donald Trump, another one's coming up. It's like what is it? Hydra. It's like Hydra. You cut one head off, 6 or 7 more jump up. You got J.D. Vance in the wings. You got Stephen Miller in the wings. You got the Pam Bondis, and you got the Tucker Carlsons, and you got the MAGA is not going anywhere. So let's say you're a Christian and you're hoping that Christians wake up and they turn. They see the light. They turn. Donald Trump has been on the scene for the last 10 plus years. Now, some Christians who were opposing Donald Trump in the beginning are now with him lock, stock, and barrel like never before. Now, some people who were with him in the beginning, they've shed it off, and my wife and myself included, I voted for him in 2016 as we were under evangelical Christian nationalism, New Apostolic Reformation, and we were raised in that environment, and then I really saw Jesus. But where's the church? Has the church gotten better? In the last 10 years, has the church gotten better or has it gotten worse? Ladies and gentlemen, it's gotten worse. And you're hoping and believing and praying that the church is going to somehow come to this epiphany and revelation that's not going to happen, ladies. I need you to just take a step back and be realistic. All of your hoping and praying and all of your wishing and wanting has gotten you to this point 10 years later. 10 years later, all of that has gotten you to this point. All of that hope has gotten us to this point right here 10 years later. Now, I want you to consider another thing. If you're a person and you don't believe that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and you're a real Christian, and someone I would say as part of the remnant, you're going to have to put your hope. What happens is you're going to start putting your hope into the world system, such as, you're hoping that, Democratic leaders get elected and they push out the MAGA leaders, or independent leaders get elected, or you're going to hope certain people get in there. And man, how has that worked out? I mean, here, all of that hoping and wanting and wishing and praying, it got us here. It got us here on December 6, 2025. People thought Donald Trump was long gone after his first term and January 6th and all of that, and then the indictments and the criminal lawless. They thought he was long gone. And yet he sits in that White House. And he's worse now than ever. You have to consider these things. You have to consider that all of the hope and wishing and wanting and praying has got you to 10 years later. Here you are. Well, and some people, listen to me, some people, their hope is when he passes away or when he transitions. That's where their hope is. That's where their hope is. Because remember when people thought, where's Donald Trump? Where is he at? And he's not on social media and all that stuff, and he wasn't around. People were hoping that he was dead. That's their only hope. Ladies and gentlemen, suppose Donald Trump is not the Antichrist. Do you think that J.D. Vance is going to... What is your... I need you to consider, I'm begging, I'm asking you to consider, how does this end? Do you think J.D. Vance is going to stop and make a whole That's not happening. Stephen Miller, Kash Patel, Marco Rubio, all of his cabinet, all of his administration, all of his people, his chief of staff, you think that they are going to give this power up? You think that they're going to think about these preachers, think about these pastors that are in MAGA and these false prophets and these false pastors. You think that they're going to give this up? This does not end well. Whether you think Donald Trump is the Antichrist or not, this does not end well. It does not. There is no going back to normal. And do you know how much they have pulled out all the wires and put new wiring and new stuff? There is no trying to get that back and trying to, let's restore this and trying to oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So, I want you to consider that. I want you to consider that. But now I'm going to show you something. Every day, I'm more in belief that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Every day, he'll post something, he'll say something, he'll do something, and everything he does continues to fulfill biblical end-time prophecy. Everything he says, everything he does, it fits the characteristics and descriptions of the Antichrist. And ladies and gentlemen, there is an Antichrist. The Bible talks about it, and it gives so many different descriptions and names and titles and symbols for the Antichrist. There is an actual real Antichrist. Okay. The Antichrist, based on what I see in the Bible, has health issues. You're going to want to show this video to somebody. The Antichrist has health issues. Okay, what am I talking about? Okay. Let's read Zechariah chapter 11. Let's read Zechariah chapter 11, Prophet Zechariah. And Zechariah is prophesying about Jesus. And I can't get into it. It just takes too much time. But Zechariah is prophesying about Jesus. You can see here, Zechariah chapter 11, if you want to go there. And he says, look at verse 11. So it was broken on that day. Thus the poor of the flock who were watching me knew that it was the word of the Lord. Then I said to them, if it is agreeable to you, give me my wages, and if not, refrain. So they weighed out for my wages 30 pieces of silver. This is a foreshadow, prophetic foreshadow regarding Jesus was sold out by Judas for 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, that princely prince. They set on me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them into the house of the Lord for the powder. See that? And then I cut into my other staff bonds that I might break the brotherhood and between Judah and Israel. And the Lord said to me, next, take for yourself the implements of a foolish shepherd. The implements of a foolish shepherd. For I indeed will raise up a shepherd. This is God speaking. This is God. This is God Almighty. This is prophetic. Oh my gosh. I just want to break down some prophecy here for you. For indeed I will raise up a shepherd in the land who will not care for those who are cut off, nor seek the young, nor heal those that are broken, nor feed those that still stand. But he will eat the flesh of the fat and tear their hooves in pieces. This is a prophecy of the false shepherd who is the Antichrist. This is a prophecy of the Antichrist. And it says in verse 17, woe to the worthless shepherd who leaves the flock, a sword shall, and when it says leaves the flock, he's leading them falsely. He is abandoning them with falsehoods and just wickedness. A sword shall be against his arm and against his right eye. His arm shall completely wither, and his right eye shall be totally blinded. Do you see this? So it's talking about this worthless shepherd who is the Antichrist. And he's saying, this is what's going to happen. His right arm, or his arm, now it does say right arm, I don't believe. Woe to the worthless shepherd who leaves, a sword shall be against his arm and against his right eye. Okay, it specifically talks about his right eye. But as far as the arm, we don't know. His arm shall completely wither. So we don't know if it's right arm or left arm. But we do know, and his right eye shall be totally blinded. So, this is saying that the Antichrist is going to have health issues. So I want you to think about a health issue that causes a person's arm to be withered or not able to function. And also, and I believe it's going to be his right arm just because of where I'm going with this and what I understand, what I see. And also his right eye will be blinded. What kind of health issue does that sound like? Ladies and gentlemen, that sounds like a stroke. It sounds like a stroke. Okay? And so for all of those listening and watching, and you have maybe you have a family member or you yourself been victim of stroke, my prayers and empathy and sympathy go out to you for health and healing and restoration. But as you know, many times a stroke victim suffers on one side of their body, and it impairs movement and sometimes the ability to talk and see, and it impairs. It's a neurological thing that's affected. Okay. So why, let's connect the dots together. Well, as you know, Donald Trump, he had White House releases details of Trump's MRI scan. Okay. So, you know that President Donald Trump had an MRI. Washington, President Trump underwent advanced imaging of his abdomen and cardiovascular system for preventive reasons. The White House said Monday, one day after the president told reporters that he had no idea what body parts his MRI covered during his October physical at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The president said Monday or Sunday that the MRI conducted in October wasn't for his brain and the results were perfect, although he didn't know what they covered. No idea. It was just an MRI, Mr. Trump said Sunday when asked about what part of his body the test covered. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and aced it. Okay. All right. No idea. Okay. He also said Sunday he would release the results of the MRI. As part of President Donald Jr. Trump's comprehensive executive physical advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. Reads a letter dated December 1st from Sean Barbabella, physician to the president. The purpose of this imaging is preventative and identify issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure he maintains long-term vitality and function. Okay. It's kind of hard to read through the phone here. So, now why is that important? He had an MRI on his heart and abdomen. Well, the reason why that's important, because why do people get cardiovascular MRIs? They want to get a detailed picture of the heart, blood flow, right? See if the heart muscle has been damaged, heart failure, things of that nature, right? But blood flow, viability, and things of that nature, and arrhythmia, and they want to find out, right? So let's ask this question. Do stroke risk patients get cardiovascular MRIs? Yes. Patients at high risk for stroke, especially after transient ischemic attack or TIAs, often get cardiovascular MRIs or other cardiac imaging to find hidden heart problems. Ladies and gentlemen, there is word and rumor that supposed Donald Trump had some type of TIA or very minor stroke. During that time where he wasn't on camera for a long time. So, I cannot confirm that at all, but we can confirm that he has heart concerns or blood flow concerns. Well, the Bible says in Zechariah that the Antichrist is going to have a withered arm and blinded eye, which is consistent to the results of a stroke. Now, why is that important? Because if you go to Revelation chapter 13, Revelation chapter 13 is talking about the first beast, which is the beast out of the sea. Now, biblical end time prophecy is multidimensional, which means one prophecy can mean 1, 2, 3, 4 different things, understandings. And so the beast out of the sea not only represents the old papal system, but it also represents the new coming world government, and it also represents the Antichrist, the beast out of the sea. By the way, Mar-a-Lago means from the sea. It means from the sea. Let me just look it up here. Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago meaning. Okay, Mar-a-Lago meaning. Okay, there it is. Means sea to lake. In Spanish, a name given by heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post because the Palm Beach estate sits between the Atlantic Ocean, the sea, and Lake Worth, the lake. Sea to lake. That's what Mar-a-Lago. And that's where he rose to power from a political standpoint. But that's just for free. I just throw that in there. Now, Revelation chapter 13, it says a second beast. So we already know what the first beast, and we break this all down in our series, The Antichrist Agenda. But the second beast comes out of the earth. We break all of this down. It has multiple meanings. It means one. It means America is the second beast. If there was a movie, Daniel would be the first movie, and then Revelation would be the sequel. So, in Daniel, we understand that one beast represented Babylon, which also represented King Nebuchadnezzar, and then another beast represented the Medo-Persia, the Medes and the Persians, and then also then the third one was the Grecian or Greece, and then the fourth was the Roman Empire. Now, what you have to understand is that all of these empires expanded further west, starting with Babylon, and as each one was conquered, they expanded further west. Well, the Roman Empire was never conquered. And the Roman Empire turned into the Roman the Roman Catholic Empire during the Dark Ages, and it expanded west. And there was something called a doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery says you can claim any land for Christianity, and you can take the people, and you basically you're talking about the Crusades. That's why they say Christopher Columbus discovered America when there were indigenous people already here. But you could do whatever. You could take the people and enslave the people, and that's from the doctrine of discovery, because you were claiming it. The land wasn't discovered until it was claimed for Christianity or the papal system. And so the Roman Empire moved west. America is the continuation of the Roman Empire. America is the continuation of the Roman Empire. All of the countries from the Roman Empire, America received those people. Oh, goodness gracious. So that's the second beast coming up out of the earth that has two horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on his behalf, and it made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed, and it performed great signs. Now, it also represents the false prophet. So Donald Trump is going to have a right-hand person or companion person who is the false prophet. And it performed great signs and causes fire to come down from heaven, and so on and so forth. Now, because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image. Now, we're talking about the Antichrist's health issues. We're talking about the Antichrist. What I see and what you can see is that the Antichrist is going to have health issues. I believe a stroke. And it says it set up an image in honor of the beast, who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. Well, do you remember Zechariah says, "Woe to the worthless shepherd who leaves the flock. A sword shall be against his arm and against his right eye." Who was wounded by the sword. Goodness great. Come on, y'all. Who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. So this is a health, something coming against the Antichrist. And I have further belief that it is Donald Trump because of his cardiovascular issues that I believe one day will eventually bring forth a full stroke that will cause him to lose viability of his arm, one of his arms, and his right eye. And it says it also will, it says, wounded by the sword and lived. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image. So they're setting up an image. This false prophet, he says, okay, we're going to set up an image. And the false prophet has the ability to give breath to the image. And that doesn't mean like our ability to breathe. That means movement or life, as if it's functional. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where AI comes in. This is where AI technology comes in. What's going to happen is because Donald Trump is a very prideful, vain person, there's going to come a day where you're not going to necessarily see him a lot in person. You're not going to see him a lot in person. It's going to be more AI of him, and he's able to talk and he's able to function, but you're not going to see the real Donald Trump physical, because he won't want you to see that, because that represents weakness. He won't want you to see that. It's going to be, and you see it now. You see him posting more AI images of himself, strong and walking as a, conqueror, as a, military person. You see these AI videos, all these AI videos of him in great glory. Well, that's all foreshadow of there's going to be an actual AI image. And in that AI image, it's going to be, that's going to be the one where when he comes out and talks, and people are going to see that. So there's going to be a lot of technological things here. And that's why he has all of the AI, and that's why the push for AI, and because AI is used big in the last days. So he's wounded by the sword and lived. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refuse to worship the image to be killed. Do you see that? Now, I also want you to consider this. When we talk about the Antichrist, here's the deal. Jesus talked about the Antichrist. You go to John 5:43. He says, he's speaking to the Pharisees. He says, I have come, this is John 5:43. I have come in my Father's name. Watch that. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. This is Jesus talking to the Pharisees. That's why the MAGA and the spirit of the false prophets and false Christians, they have the spirit of the Pharisees, because they reject Jesus. They reject the teachings of Christ. They reject the new covenant. He says, I've come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you will receive. Oh, this is so prophetic, ladies and gentlemen. See, you got to make sure you study the Word of God. Don't be thrown off by that word if. In the Greek, the word if means since. Oh, what am I talking about? If means since in Greek. Yes, Greek words like ei and iepda can mean if, but also since or because, especially when the if clause is treated as treated as a factual premise, a first-class conditional in contexts like the Bible. Through translators debate whether to keep the if for rhetorical effect or switch to sense for clarity effect. So, in other words, do you keep the if for historical, or do you change it to sense, what it really means, to make sure that people have a clear understanding? So now when you read it, it says this. It says, I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. Remember, there are Jewish people who do not receive Jesus as the Messiah, which means they're looking for another one. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If or since another comes in his own name, that name Trump, it's been on many different products and services all around the world. In fact, it is all throughout Jerusalem. It's on coins, it's on train stations, it's on buildings. Trump. He comes in his own name. The Antichrist is not coming in the name of Christ. He's coming in his own name because he rejects Christ. He doesn't believe he needs Christ. He rejects Christ. That's why he says, I don't repent. I've never asked God to forgive me, because he didn't need to. He didn't need to. That's not something that's important to him. So, that's just a little Bible study. Now, how does this end? If he's not the Antichrist, you think that if he were to die or step down or whatever, this all just goes away? Come on. Let's really think this is all not just going to go away. Like Hydra, other people will be raised up. Suppose he's not the Antichrist. Other people will be raised up. This doesn't end well. People in Germany, the real true German Christians, because the German church was complicit with Adolf Hitler. And there were some people in Germany and across the world that believed that Adolf Hitler was the Antichrist. The only problem that they didn't see and they didn't catch is that Adolf Hitler was persecuting Jews. See, the Antichrist is going to be received by the Jews, received by Israel. They're going to worship him. And that's what Israel worships him, Donald Trump right now. They have coins. They call him, he's the new Cyrus. Oh, they worship him. And they even have talked about building the temple and wanting him to, lead that charge. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, can you not see? Okay. But let's say he's not. Do you think this is just, it's not going to all just go away? It's not just going to all go away. So what happened with Hitler is some people say, oh, it just go away, No, it led to World War II. It led to World War II, ladies and gentlemen. So my point to you is, think about this. People thought Hitler was the Antichrist, but they didn't really match it according to biblical end-time prophecy of Israel receiving him. Israel did not receive Adolf Hitler, and Adolf Hitler was persecuting Israel and the Jews. He was persecuting them. But it still didn't end well. Germany burned to the ground, so to speak, basically. Millions of Jews were killed and slaughtered, and it did so much damage to the point where there was a World War II. So if you don't believe that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, then how does it end? Do you see around the world the Putins, the Viktor Orbans, the leader in Italy who is a former member of Mussolini? Do you see the far right rising up all around the world? Do you not see it in the Latin countries? The far right is rising up. You don't see China? You don't see this? The church. You don't see the church. You don't see that the church is not backing down, but they're doubling down, they're tripling down, they're quadrupling down. You don't see the church. They're not saying, oh, you know what? How dare us walk in great hypocrisy? How dare us walk in lies? And they're not. They're doubling down. They're tripling down. They believe that they are walking in righteousness with God. So, I want you to consider that. I want you to think about that. God bless you. That's all I got for now.